World of Warcraft game director Ion Hazzikostas gave an interview to Sloot, the famous tank from Twitch, who everybody knows who is in kind of World of Warcraft sphere. So there are a lot of interesting insights into Shadowlands build, alpha, and just general design things. I simply cannot not comment on that, but at the same time, instead of doing another lengthy stream where I simply read a blog to you guys, I thought I'm going to combine this with another hopefully full clear run of Horrific Vision of Orgrimmar this week on my Feral Druid. So you're getting a double whammy today. Hello everyone, once again, Gyro here, welcome to the channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and all of that kind of stuff. I really appreciate this little community growing, slowly but steadily. As I said, today we're going to be doing Horrific Vision of Orgrimmar, hopefully full clear. I do not have any masks yet on this druid, but hopefully I'll get one this time around. I am planning to use food buffs. I'm not going to be commenting on the run too much, but at the same time I'm going to be listening with you, to the interview of Ion Hazzikostas, game director of World of Warcraft, with Sloot. It is the full kind of credit and all of the attribution of the audio and all of that kind of stuff goes to Sloot, goes to Ion Hazzikostas, whoever you want to be. I'm not trying to somehow steal the thunder here. I'm going to leave the comment to Sloot's, I'm going to leave the link to Sloot's Twitch channel down below in the description if that is required, but that is called attribution of content, which I'm very happily giving, and I'm very grateful for this content being provided. I'm a fan of the game. My only interest is in basically talking to you guys about what's relevant. And right now, I'm sure a lot of other outlets are using exactly the same information to dissect it, quote it, do whatever they're doing. So in a minute, I'm going to stop talking and ranting. I'm going to jump into the Horrific Vision, start running there, dealing with whatever I am. I'm showing to you my item level right now. I'm showing to you my very basic setup. At the moment, my druid is in ranking up phase of leveling up, of progressing the cloak, progressing the item level. And at the same time, in the background, I'm just going to press play. And in the background, I have already fired up the video that is currently paused of the stream that Sloot had. And Ion jumped on the stream with Sloot. And a lot of questions, judging by what MMO Champion has summarized. I could have just read it to you in a blog format what MMO Champion has posted on their front page. Please visit them as well. Credit to them as well. But instead, I thought it would be more fun to listen to what they're saying, and then occasionally, when it's something really interesting for us, we're going to be commenting on this, and I'm going to be sharing my opinions with you. It's not a live stream, it's not intended as such, but I am, as always, welcoming your thoughts in the comments down below. What did you think about what was said? And what do you think about my spin on this, I suppose? Do you align with this? Do you not? We don't have to agree, but I am always welcoming of your comments. Enough said.
As classes take a look, specs take a look at things that have returned, things that have changed, that's going to be in a process where they let us know, hey, it's awesome that we got X and Y back, but we really miss Z. Can you guys hook that up? And quite possibly we can. In other cases, we'll have gone too far. But that's going to be the product of this dialogue with the community, driven by feedback. This isn't a case where, all right, we have, half of them done and the others are going to come in later. We've done that at times in past expansion alphas and betas.
This is interesting, guys. I'm pausing here as intended, so I'm not commenting yet on what Ion is saying. I'm just actually paying attention because this run is after the most recent reset. And I am curious because I always thought that these guards at the entrance to the boss's area, Illyria or Thrall in this particular case, I thought that they had stealth detection always, didn't they? Because in this case, they clearly did not. They did not have stealth detection. I could have come straight up to them and everything was okay. Did you notice that? Because I did, and it is very, very weird. Don't you think? It is very weird. Let's keep listening.
And iteration is important. Feedback's important, right? We've very rightfully gotten raked over the coals for this when some changes, big changes to a class or spec get dropped late in beta without a lot of time to really iterate on them. Then we end up having to fix them in patches after the expansion flat. We want to get things out there up front so we can start the conversation.
Okay.
So look, it's not a video about whether or not I like Sloot or his mana, or that he comes across a little bit arrogant or entitled and stuff like that. That's very subjective. That is in terms of how you communicate, how you prefer to communicate, what resonates with you, what resonates with me. I am not a fan of how Sloot is running this interview. He runs like an old friend who is sort of sounds a tiny bit entitled for all this inside information and being privileged enough to have Ian on his stream. I had to mention this because that's just me. I just that's what resonates with me. I know it's beside the point entirely, but I had to say it so that I don't just keep running here being annoyed. Okay, that's just me. Okay. At the same time, what do we have here? So he is basically saying, Ian, that the currently published class changes, the ones that we discussed in yesterday's little stream, the one that they published in a blog and we discussed it, it looks like obviously there will be iteration, but it doesn't sound like they are planning to make any further major changes. So let's keep listening. That's good.
And I guess kind of in the same vein, are there any plans to? I know we kind of welcomed, Windwalker and Frost DK back to the realm of dual wield and two handing. Any plans to extend
Yes.
that further to Fury and enhance it all, or is that kind of set in stone?
Few things are set in stone. I think we've obviously heard a lot of feedback from Fury Warriors right away that they miss single-minded Fury. Some of that's as much about the aesthetic feel as it is about any mechanical hook. That's something teams talking about. We have a couple of problems that we need to work through to make that a reality, but we're actively discussing it, and that may well be something that does come to an alpha build in your immediate future.
Okay.
Two-hand enhance is a little trickier. I think that was functionally that was basically dead as of Wrath. I think when Lava Lash got added, and it wasn't the right way to play even through Burning Crusade. So I deeply empathize and feel the nostalgia of basically running up to someone in Warsong and killing them instantly with a Wind Fury proc, big two-hander. But that's 13, 14 years removed at this point. There's a lot of itemization challenges as well as just a couple of core abilities built around dual wielding. That feels much less likely.
Fair enough.
Okay. So if you haven't been around that long, and I have been playing World of Warcraft since 2005 or whatever, since you don't know what Ian is referring to, if you don't know what Ian is referring to, he's referring to the almost a memed age-old video where the guy had the Unstoppable Force. He had the Unstoppable Force mace, and he posted this very famous early YouTube 13 years ago video where he basically was destroying absolutely everyone with those procs of Wind Fury, where it was a multi-strike kind of thing from a two-handed weapon that back then was a very high-end weapon. Everyone wanted it, and that's what Ian is referring to. So they are mindful by the sound of it, and they don't want to return that type of possibility of proccing back into the fold. Fair enough. That's kind of, it's not something that makes me particularly disappointed, but I am not playing Enhancement Shaman. If you're playing Enhancement Shaman, please let me know how does that resonate with you, because I definitely respect your opinion there more than I would insist on my own in this case, because I'm not as educated on the life and state of Enhancement Shaman in BFA. Let's keep listening.
All right, so amongst reading all the wonderful class changes, there's been something that has caused a surgence in people picking up their pitchforks recently, and that is, of course, the AoE cap on combat, which is obviously a very hot topic right now. So majority of spells have been either limited to 5 or maybe even up to 8 AoE targets, and some of them are diminishing, damage outside of their primary target. So what's the thought process? Why? A lot of people feel this is an unwelcome change, and maybe we can shed a bit of insight on why.
Absolutely, yeah. So this was framed as AoE spells capped or majority of AoE spells capped. I'm not sure that's exactly accurate. What the change is aiming to do is to actually restore some niches of strengths that used to exist that don't anymore. I think back in the day, and actually not that long ago, there was the concept of cleave as distinct from AoE. A lot of melee specialists were fantastic at cleave, and they would shine when you had 4 or 5 targets, you're tanking some ads on a boss, and they'd be the ones who you wanted to bring, who would dominate in that situation. Then you have pure AoE, the Rain of Fire, Arcane Explosion, etc. If you look at those don't have any target caps on them. I think looking back when we removed those caps, it was with an eye towards simplification. Actually, like I think around the time of Legion, we were doing a lot of looking at our tooltips, trying to clean things up. And obviously, going from hitting a max of 4 or 5 targets or 3 with your Blade Flurry or Whirlwind or whatever else to hitting infinite is an improvement. But what we actually did was destroy that separation that was actually important to class diversity and balance, to who you want to bring for different situations. We've also found that, as we've seen not just in high-end Mythic Plus, but in raids and even solo content, like Horrific Visions recently and internal Torghast playtests, the right answer, if you could get away with it, was always just round up everything, pop your cooldowns, AoE them down, right? For Horrific Visions, half of what you do is train through a whole area, go into a building, go around a corner, LOS them, blow them all up. And that
Ha, 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 Ian. Ha, ha, ha. I know I'm not commenting on the core of the interview, but him thinking that half of what we do is just AoE everything. I suppose, again, this is the... I'm so sorry, but this is like... It's what you'd call first world problems of people who have 4.65s, 4.7, 4.70s gear, who maybe are able to do that. But us, simple... I don't want to call us plebs. I would call myself that. I would never dare calling you that. But us simple casuals, we do not do that. Yes, I do that in the initial area of where the hut is with the bad liquid. I do that from time to time, occasionally on my demon hunt or someone reasonably well geared. Again, it's about the gear, right? But it's not how you run Horrific Visions. It's not how you run Horrific Visions as a casual. I'm not even going to argue with you. Numerous videos I have on this channel are proof to the fact that that's not how you run Horrific Visions unless you're one of that privileged crowd, and I am gonna call it privileged crowd. I'm sorry, that is my position on this.
that's super fun and a cool solution to a problem, but it shouldn't be the solution to every problem. And a lot of the creature design that we were going down the road of pursuing was trying to find ways of stopping you from doing that. That's, put obnoxious abilities like stuns and knockbacks and teleports or whatever else on them. And again, that's where we were getting into this tug of war with our players around that. So the goal is not to kill big pulls forever. I think it's more to create a situation where there are more unique strengths, and we're moving away from homogenization where everyone's AoE buttons can all hit a dozen targets, 20 targets, and then it's just a question of, well, can you do yours while moving? Is yours bursty? Which one does more damage? Okay, that's the best.
So, do you have any concern over how this might affect, some high-end dungeon runners, things like MDI, people that kind of want to crank bigger pulls in dungeons, or even raid encounters that have ads spawning on the side? Do you think that's going to have a negative effect on it, or are you guys now kind of designing with that aspect in mind?
I think we certainly would be designing with it in mind. It'll have an effect, and I get that pulling 20 things and blowing them up, it's visceral and it's fun. We don't want to destroy those moments entirely, but it's also a relatively new and frankly somewhat degenerate playstyle that's become the universal answer to all these questions. Like going back and looking at challenge modes back in Mists, Warlords. In Mists, a lot of it was actually driven by tank vengeance, a whole separate issue. But there have been a lot of examples of...
As you can see, guys, compared to my other runs, I am trying to actually skip quite a lot more than I did before. So that is what probably would be very much in your face as far as the key difference to what I am doing compared to my previous runs.
Aggressive speed runs, risky plays that weren't like the stuff that you see today, where it's literally just always round up everything, blow it up. Is it going to change things? Yes, it will. But confident that players are going to adapt, and we think we can also add more depth rather than again having this one solution be the right answer to every puzzle that we present you with in creating our content.
Okay. I guess that's just the general concern, is that it's some people feel it's unnecessarily slowing down gameplay. Kind of tied to this, another hot topic that is actually a continued hot topic, but is now resurging, of course, because new expansion, a ton of new abilities are coming back. The topic of the GCD cleanse. Are there any plans to, well, I mean, first of all, either completely undo it from BFA, or maybe look at more abilities that we're going to be taking off the GCD, or is it just that's kind of it, like nothing's changing?
I'm curious, which are some of the ones that, having played with it now for a couple of years, what are the ones that bother you most? Like
Me
what,
personally, or from what I
Yeah.
see? I mean,
both.
it seems that anything in the realm of like 60 seconds or less, or 45 seconds or less, seem to be offensive. So like, DK grip, self healing on a paladin, frenzied regen on a guardian, seraphim, intimidating shout on a not intimidating shout, demoralizing shout on a warrior, fiery brand. Things like these seem to be, especially throughout the expansion, they've caused a lot of moments of frustration where you've done your skillful input as a player, you've reacted appropriately, you're saying, hey, I gotta heal myself as a tank, I'm about to die, and the game has locked you out of doing that, and then you end up dying or not being able to what should have skillfully and reactfully as a player, been done to save you. You can't do that because you had to do something else, or you were locked mid time.
I mean, so I think taking a step back, those individual examples are still the sorts of things that are great to get feedback on, and the team as a whole is definitely flexible in pulling back and reevaluating philosophies with regard to specific abilities. I think the aim of the broader change is still actually the elements of skill that do exist in making those decisions, in a bit of anticipation, in the choice of do you want to do A or B, not just we'll hit them both, they're both going to happen. As you know, obviously, as someone who's played a wide range of tanks and is kind of an expert at all the different tank specs that are out there, something like Deathstrike and their self-healing as Death Knights, that's very much about managing GCD, and that's always been fine for them. Signature defensive abilities like Bubble or whatever have always been on the GCD and work. Now, that's not the answer for everything, and there are places where having something off the GCD can be a classes or a specs advantage, but it's something we want to evaluate on a case-by-case basis, and that's kind of what led us to where we are, but we're still talking about listening to concerns with specific abilities.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the concern is more the question of, I understand what you're saying. Oh, my health's low. Should I, Shield of the Righteous again, or should I self-heal? But the issue is, especially as you do higher levels of content, you reach a time when your health just spikes in the blink of an eye, and you're
really
actually in the middle of a GCD, and you've made the reactive decision to self-heal, and you can't. So it's not that, what should my next choice be? Is I want to make this choice emergency right now, and I can't.
Fair, right? I mean, I guess how is that different from that same experience with death striking on a Death Knight, though?
Well, they have more frequent access to CDs that save their lives, right? They have frequent access to Vamp Blood. I mean, they're just built for quick, short CDs that can save them.
Yeah, but those situations still occur. I think that is the sort of thing that we're open to discussing, right? If a specific specs tool.
Final area, guys. Suspicion is that we only have listened to a fraction of the interview, and we will continue listening until I'm done with this. But if you have any interest in the my further thoughts on the rest of the interview, because there was a lot said, so in this particular case we are not taking the full interview, by the look of it, and I had no idea how long the interview is and how long it will take me, how long we will go. Maybe Ian popped in for 5 minutes, I had no idea. But basically it doesn't sound like we'll be able to go through most of it. So please let me know in the comments down below if you would like us to keep listening to it and keep talking in the comments, and me commenting obviously more. I know I haven't said much, but it's simply because there was not all that crazy much to comment on. It was an experiment for me, just as it was for you, but hopefully it was a bit more interesting than just seeing another cat tearing the place up, wasn't it? These stealth detecting, I think I'll have to deal with them, but we will see if I have to.
Toolkit doesn't give them the range of tools, and they end up in that frustrating situation where they're getting bursted down faster than they can react, then there's a case for evaluating that, for sure.
Okay.
The other question is, what is the type of content? What are the situations that people are getting into that are putting them there? And that also may be something we're doing wrong on the encounter design side. I think if we're killing you from full or near full to dead before you can react in the span of a GCD without the feeling of you missed an interrupt or did something that had counterplay, then we're screwing up on that front, regardless of whether your ability was on or off GCD. Because we also don't necessarily want skill in WoW to be about just Twitch reaction time, and within this 0.6 second window, can you hit the button before you die?
Curious if this guy will aggro, because I skipped him for the very first time in my playthroughs here. Curious if he will aggro when I pull next group. Let's see.
Right.
That's just not what WoW it has been about at its core. It's about the moment-to-moment decision making, metered out every second and a half of multitasking, paying attention to different priorities, and figuring out what you're going to do next. A second.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. So if you remember, that was that kind of gray zone that you and I talked about in that 8.2 summit. So I guess it's kind of the same deal right now. You guys are just going to evaluate on a basis by basis situation and then see what happens as the alpha and beta goes on.
Pretty much. And I think specific...
He didn't, and it was fantastic. But here I'm definitely going to use an orb, because we went through the whole thing, if you didn't notice. Whole thing. Of course there are no masks, but we went through the whole thing with no orbs, which is nice. Enough for me as far as performance is concerned. So we're gonna deal with Rexxar, who everybody hates, and I'm no exception.
Quick examples are the most helpful there. The broad feedback of, all right, revert the GCD changes. We understand that. We've processed that. But specific examples of, okay, these actually feel okay, but this one feels particularly crappy. That's the kind of thing that we'd love to hear and act.
Okay. Let's move to a kind of like quick fire section. So I'm just gonna be like, hey, guys, doing this. What are you doing about this? Feel free to just answer in a sentence or two, or if you want to kind of, do the Ion expansion on it and
Q&A. Let's see what we hear. Let's listen.
Coming back or no?
No plans to bring it back right now. I think we're looking at improving personal loot, improving agency control.
Master Loot.
He
asked about Master Loot.
But that's the path we've committed to. The path we're going down.
Mission table style thing coming back?
Yes, we are planning to have one. They're called adventures as part of the Sanctum system covenants. I think we feel like we don't ever want to go back to a place where, like in Warlords.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go around, because I have heaps of orbs now. I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna collect as much loot, as many caches as I've skipped as I can. So that is what I'm doing, in case you're wondering.
It was an incredibly central part of your gameplay. But there is value as a sink for some resources that you earn, the thing you can do on your phone, a little bit of a loop that exists there. But we are actually looking to evolve the gameplay beyond the matching counters and hope you get good RNG on your 130% chance.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bit more involved mini game this time around. We're looking forward to rolling that out a bit later.
Okay. Gear swapping in dungeons, in Mythic Plus specifically.
It's no current plans to change it. It's something that we'll continue to discuss. I think that comes down to probably a topic we'll touch on later in the context of covenant powers and choices. A lot of RPG customization comes down to having strengths and weaknesses, and you're going to picking a loadout of gear that balances those for the dungeon as a whole. What you're trying to accomplish in the dungeon as a whole lets you make some more interesting and nuanced choices versus, all right, you're going to have these trinkets, this gear for big trash pulls, you're going to have this other set of gear that you use for single target on bosses, and it's now about just collecting a bunch of sets of stuff, macroing them together, and not really making nuanced decisions, just leaning into strengths and only having those.
Okay. This one, yeah, I think you'll probably want to talk a bit more on. Maybe, I don't know. It depends what you have. But tier sets. Do you think they were successful to be removed in BFA, and will they be coming back in any shape or form in this expansion?
Magic 8 Ball says quite possibly. We don't have tier sets in the initial 9.0 Shadowlands patch. It's something our team wants to do again. It's something we're talking about seeing return later on in the expansion.
Okay.
A couple challenges we have to.
That's cool. Everyone wants tier sets, and I'm no different. I would like a return of tier sets. Tier sets were awesome. Tier sets added flavor. Tier sets added a lot of fun to the gameplay. But that is now sadly almost forgotten, that gameplay. So I want tier sets back, and I'm glad he's saying that they're considering. I'm also glad that he's upfront about the fact that they are not coming in straight away back. Okay, not like I expected them to, but this is better than nothing, guys. This is good news.
work through to figure out, exactly how we translate those into the modern era. I think one of the reasons that made us pull back from them by the time of Legion was looking at just what they'd turned into. Originally, when they were first rolled out, like back in 2004, it was this long-term chase goal, raid for months, finally cobbled together this awesome-looking set that also had unique bonuses. Whereas with multiple difficulties, with increased rate of just loot acquisition in general, as you know, it was like you kind of, especially at high end, you expected to have your 4-piece bonus from the new tier like 3 weeks in, if that, if not sooner. And then any other gear that you got from other systems like Mythic Plus, those were almost dead slots. You're never going to break up a set bonus just to, get a non-set BP. So we don't love that aspect of it, but the art, the class fantasy, the sense of, class differentiation, and also some aspects of the set bonuses
Just
as a
looking
goal
for
to strive
more
for are all things
chests,
we want
guys.
to recapture.
Cool. This is probably the last one of the quick fire. I don't know if you even have a short answer for this.
I'm glad we got more
the past two
questions in.
expansions have been plagued with issues at times. I mean, the most recent one, of course, being the drama of account-wide essences, but alt unfriendliness. And there were some mentions at BlizzCon as to, striving for a more permanent alt.
Just a little technical pause, guys. Apologies.
So any details to share on that?
That's a quick fire question.
I said it's the last of them. It's a continuum back into the world of not quickfire.
Okay. So yeah, yes, this is something that we've tried to make a focus of Shadowlands, and then we talked about at BlizzCon. I think when it comes to alt friendliness, that can mean different things to different players. For some folks, they're looking for variety of experience. They're looking for ways to see the game from a different perspective, and something like Legion class campaigns.
Here I just didn't clear enough, I think, to pick
the
up
different
chests,
Covenant
but I'm gonna
arcs
just
we're gonna
take
have in
another look around,
Shadowlands
guys.
can let you experience new parts of the game.
Yeah, there
For
is
other
one
people, when
up
they talk
there.
about
I
alt
think I'm gonna
friendliness,
get it.
they're like, hey, my raid leader's requiring 3 raid-ready alts. How much annoying stuff do I have to do to get those ready? And that's a different side of the equation. I think on all fronts, Shadowlands should be better.
That was worth it.
A mix of that is the freeform
there,
sandbox format for leveling successive characters. We join your covenant right away, tackle the zones and the quests or any content, whatever order you like. But also the fact that we don't have an AP this expansion. We don't have some long tail, frankly, grind that you can feel like you should always be doing on your main. Because that's been one of the other things that's driven feelings of alt unfriendliness. It's not even that,
I'm gonna pause him on the alt unfriendliness, guys, because we're getting to the bottom, kind of to the tail end of this, not bottom end, tail end of this. There's a flying cat right there. That's cool. All right, guys. So we're gonna finish this run as we were planning to, and this is gonna do it because it felt easy on Feral. As I said in several other videos, I'm actually enjoying Feral a lot. I haven't played Feral much, and I hope I'm getting better at Feral. It feels like I am. It feels like I'm recognizing more opportunities to skip content. That's why I recommend that you do. Feral is definitely a joy to play, and if I can do it, you definitely can do it. Doesn't require much skill. But at the same time, what's coming your way are more maybe overlapping news analysis, Shadowlands, fragments, news, bits and pieces, similar to what we did today. Please let me know, it's important to me if this format anyhow works. I always take experiments. I don't want to just repeat what other channels are doing, talk about the same stuff, whatever. I know in the end we all will, but everyone brings it to you their own way. Hopefully you enjoy mine. I definitely seek your feedback. I always did. I always will continue. I will do it my way, but at the same time, I am open to good stuff that a lot of my subscribers, a lot of my now, I hope, I dare say, friends, online friends, a lot of these people have suggested, and I followed their advice, and my experience became therefore better and hopefully more fun for you guys to watch. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Your support is much appreciated, and do not think that I am just asking because that's what's polite to ask for your opinion. I actually want to hear if you think that this type of overlapping content, I do my usual run, but I'm trying to do something else so that it is not boring for you, because this is what it was intended to be. I don't know how it came out on the other end. I haven't even seen, as you can imagine, at the moment of recording this and talking to you right now, I haven't yet seen the final product, this video, how it will come out. I don't think I'll do much editing because everything was pretty much in your face, everything how we've done. I do appreciate that not full interview of Ion and Sloot have been there, and maybe it sounded a little unkind when I said I'm not particularly a fan of Sloot's manner, of how he talks, how he sounds, how he kind of appears. But again, that's subjective. I am not for everyone. Sloot is not for everyone. I obviously tuned in not because of my eternal love for Sloot, but because MMO Champion, my go-to news website, has told me that Sloot has had Ion Hazzikostas, who I actually like. I like Ion on his channel. So that is in case that kind of lost in translation there a little bit, and maybe you misunderstood kind of my intent, or I sounded a bit unkind. I apologize if I produced that impression. Here we go, full clear done of Horrific Vision of Orgrimmar. I think I'm supposed to have a mask from this, don't I? Like, I'm hoping that I got a mask from this. I'm still ranking up my cloak. This felt easy. As you saw, I had plenty of time spare, plenty of orb spare at the end of it, and my gear is very, very, very within casual range, as you saw on the screen. I'm not quite sure. Where is my mask? I thought that I'm supposed to get a mask from full clear. I thought that I'm supposed to. And I thought that if I had a mask, for example, if I actually just forgot it and it's somewhere there hidden, stashed, and forgotten by me, then I thought that I am... Okay, avoidance. Well, avoidance is not a bad thing, and my corruption level is so low right now that I probably can throw this piece on. This is something that I did not discuss with you guys at the kickoff of this, because we jumped straight into the content. So of the interview, of all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna linger. I'm gonna wrap up the video over here. I'm gonna thank you as always, my followers and my subscribers and supporters, for tuning in today. More videos of similar nature, but very much up to you. You can guide me quite a lot in terms of what works for you. Speak up, not the time to be shy. I always seek for further guidance. Is a strong word because it's my channel. I'm fairly strong-minded person. I'm just a friendly guy, so I am welcoming and genuinely interested in what you guys prefer. But at the same time, if you have a preference, hopefully it aligns with mine or doesn't contradict something that I believe in, and I'd be more than happy to take your advice, recommendation, request, and change the content of how I'm presenting it, how I'm packaging it for you, instead of publishing a billion videos, one of news, one of a run, one of a run, one of news. That's why I'm trying to make it all a little bit more, just a bit more feature rich, just a bit more fun for you. Tell me how it is for you. Enough said. Thank you very much for tuning in today, and I will talk to you very soon next time, in a couple of days time. And these days, spoiler alert, videos, streams are coming to you almost every day. I just don't want to make a hard commitment so that you don't feel disappointed, but stick around.